This week on the job, we welcome Mike Claudio. Mike is the owner of Winrate Consulting. He also hosts his own podcast called Big Stud Sales, Nailing Construction Selling. We recorded an awesome episode and I can't wait to get into it. Mike breaks down some marketing trends that he's excited about, some great tips for how to train your sales team, and some even better tips on how to stop wasting time on unqualified leads. If you're looking to step up your sales this year, this is the perfect episode to get you started. Let's get into it. On the Job is an ArcSite media production. ArcSite is the fastest growing 2D CAD application on the market. With ArcSite, it makes it easy to create professional CAD floor plans from anywhere. The best part is you don't need years of experience to use ArcSite. In just minutes, you can create impressive site drawings that will help impress your customers, close more deals, and beat your competition. That's not all. ArcSite offers takeoff and estimate features that will help you close deals on the spot. All you have to do is load in your company's products into the app, drag them into your site drawings, and ArcSite automatically calculates your proposal based on the items you added to the drawing. It's that easy. Learn more today at arcsiteapp.com/onthejob. Or head to the Apple App Store and start a 14-day trial today. All right, Mike. So first of all, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join me. If you don't mind, just like a quick background about yourself, just so people who don't know you can get a quick background.
Sure. So Mike Claudio, I own Winrate Consulting and EC Grading. So I do business coaching and consulting for the home service industry. And I also own and operate a demo and grading company. I have a podcast, Big Stud Sales, YouTube channel, Mike Claudio. I've been coaching full-time for right at 2 years. Live in Charlotte, North Carolina, married, 2 sons.
Awesome. That's quite the jam-packed answer, but I think that sums it all up.
Trying to get it out quick.
No, yeah, you're on top of it. I could tell you're a seasoned veteran to the podcast game. So if you don't...
episodes in.
Yeah, 300. Congrats, by the way. That's no easy feat. How long, when was like the first episode launch?
So I had because I've been on I've probably done like 200 between the 2 podcasts and ones I've been a guest on. So it's kind of spread out, but so Big Stud Sales, I think released episode 69 this week. Mm-hmm. We've been doing one a week since it started. So a year and a quarter or so.
Yeah, man, you're no rookie. That's for sure. So if you don't mind, what does an average day for you look like? I know if you don't mind coming from like the consultant side, but like if you step back to, I know I did a brief deep dive on your website. So you have a day to day as like a sales manager. What does that role look like for you?
So, I ran a remodeling company. I ran a roofing company. So I didn't get real far into my background, but I was in corporate America for a while. We ran the remodeling company, ran the roofing company. But for me, specifically as a sales manager, the best way I can explain it is you have to blend time between your priorities and your people's priorities.
Sure.
Right? I don't think any day is the same. I'm really big on time blocking for important activities. So about 20 to 25 hours of my week are structured as non-negotiable time blocks. So it's time for proposal creation, time for employee development, time for personal development, time for reporting, CRM stuff, social media creation, content creation. So my schedule stays pretty locked so that I can prioritize the important stuff, because clients are always going to try and get everything they can out of you, right? Mm-hmm. Like clients, your people, if you're in the middle, like leadership, everybody's pulling at your time.
And people begging you to come on their podcast.
I mean, you got the block. This is it.
I'm going to take advantage of it.
I mean, if I can show you my calendar at some point, it's insane.
Good for you for having a system. I've worked with plenty of people who don't. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And I think I learned it because I was failing without it. Okay. Right. And as my ecosystem grew and as my influence grew and as my content grew and as, your team grows, your time gets more valuable because there's less of it to go around. So you have to be intentional with it. And here's the number one mistake I see people make.
Yeah.
Is that they start to prioritize external influences over internal influences.
Okay.
Right. I can get back to my employee, but the client's important, or I can go meet with that person because I can get that thing done for me later. I believe like most people work about 50 hours a week. I think that's just the reality. Like it's not all like 9 to 5. It's like spread out. Right.
Yeah.
And so 20 to 25 hours, if you're not owning 20 to 25 hours of your time every week, you are not reaching your full potential as a leader, as a salesperson, as an owner. Because like there's too many things pulling at you. And here's the reality though. If your job doesn't get done, no one cares that you didn't have the time to do it. So if you're a sales manager and your sales team is struggling, no one's going to care that, yeah, but I ran those client meetings. That's not your job. Your job is to lead the sales team.
Yeah.
Right. So, and especially because when I was in a sales leadership role with the roofing company, I was a player coach. I had my own pipeline and I had 5 sales guys that I managed. That's very difficult to do. I'm not being cocky. I'm just saying like when you got to balance the need of your client base and your employees, there's always somebody that's not getting all of you, right? Every day you have to split who needs me the most. Well, you have to be very intentional with your time.
Yeah.
So when you have time blocked off, structure it, have an agenda, have things you want to follow, have a structure so that you're not just talking with your guys a couple times a week and like talking about bullshit. You're like, be intentional with the time blocks. You'll get a lot more done if you go in with the game plan as opposed to just, I'm going to work hard today. Well, what are you going to do tomorrow? I'm going to work hard again.
Work
and
hard
like,
too, yeah.
what are you going to get done? You're going to work, but
Exactly.
you may not get things actually accomplished.
Sure. So is that something you make sure all your guys below you have a pretty strict schedule they follow as well? Or do you kind of let everyone do their own thing?
20 hours is about what I expect. About 20 hours of your time should be structured, non-negotiable. And that's internal and external. If I ask you for your time, it's your job to tell me, hey man, I got that time blocked for prospecting, or hey man, I got that time blocked off for content, or I got that time for client meetings or whatever it might be. It's your job to control me. I'm going to ask for what I want, like everybody does. I don't know what your schedule looks like. Don't expect me to be like to know what you want. It's your job as my employee to say, hey, Mike, I got your request. I got some time block on Wednesday to work on that. I'll get back to you Wednesday night or Thursday.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because this is a technology base is something, at least I'm always fascinated is how technology is working its way into this industry. And it's just fascinating. And there's so many opportunities there. So speaking of keeping your schedule, I mean, obviously you have Google Calendar, but, keeping track of your leads, I'm sure you have some sort of CRM in place. Like, do you have any quick tips of like, what's like, if no one has any sort of these things, they're just starting to get into scheduling or managing their time, what's like 1 or 2 go-to softwares that they have to look into like right now?
So the 2 that I have fell in love with and use the most, I use Fantastical as my calendar because you can get really customized with how you create reoccurring time blocks and schedules and stuff.
Sure.
And then the other one is Asana. ASANA is my project management / task management program. I have a calendar for the blocks and a task manager for the tasks because I don't like a busy calendar. Because if you look at your calendar and you can't decide what the next priority is, your calendar is actually hurting you.
Great tip.
Too much stuff on the calendar, then nothing's a priority and you get overwhelmed. So I want a clean, structured calendar, and my task manager is where I go to find the tasks I need to do during those time blocks.
All right. Yeah, that's great. So on that similar topic, one thing I want to make sure we hit on every week on this podcast is just like marketing trends or kind of right along the lines of technology and just kind of trends, maybe things that like something I always preach is like, just go to, if anyone comes to us, and a lot of our clients do because they work with us we're their first step in technology. And we look at them, they still have like, billsroofing@gmail.com or like, so like, just like tiny little things to help them look more professional. Like, just setting up your Gmail account, setting up your local get found on that. Like, do you have any quick tips, marketing trends that people can hop on? I know you're pretty active on YouTube. So even just like making more videos around your niche, like what's hot right now? What?
So I would say the 2 biggest things I'm seeing is Clubhouse has clearly come in with a little bit of a spike of interest. There's a lot going on in Clubhouse right now. I'm actually running like a contractors roundtable every Friday. But there's like, you can get access to very high level, very, very educated, very successful people very easily on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
because you can kind of like get in the room with anybody and like raise your hand and go to the stage and ask a question of Grant Cardone. Like that's happening right now. Right. So I think that's just cool. It's a different environment. It's not recorded, so it's just live audio engagement, which is different. And I think it's intriguing, but no one really knows what it's going to be used for yet exactly.
Sure.
And I think Facebook, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and from what I know, I can't get in yet. Any tips for how to find
only, baby?
Or no, just getting an invite even.
What they've been more open with. I have some. If you want to get on there,
yes, please. Yeah, I'm so fascinated with it. I'll email you after this.
Shoot me, if you want to shoot me an email or whatever with your phone number, that's how I have to send you is with your phone number. Okay, so shoot me your phone number and I'll get you an invite. But Clubhouse, I think they made it scarcity to kind of make it more exciting and make it more
working.
Intriguing.
Yeah, it's working.
It worked.
Yeah.
They just got valued at $1 billion.
Congrats.
Last week. Very cool. It's pretty cool for them. And then I think Facebook groups are the other hot trend right now. Facebook in 2020 had a Super Bowl commercial and also sponsored the Michael Jordan Last Dance special as Facebook groups was the commercial. And like Facebook doesn't spend, $20 to $50 million on something if they're not pushing people there. But I think Facebook groups make it a very unique user interface compared to your normal feed. There's no ads yet. I think that's coming, but right now there's no ads in Facebook groups. It does less like filtering, like basically you see kind of what was next depending on the size of the group. But like as a user, that group is going to have a targeted purpose. So I'm going there for a specific reason. So it might be a smaller audience. Like my Facebook group, I think has like 1,400 members. It's not a giant audience, but everybody is there for a specific reason. Like I call my Facebook group Construction Selling.
Yeah.
Right? Like stupid name, but it makes it very targeted.
It's targeted. Yeah. Targeted. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So, I think that's smart for sure. And hopefully, I mean, from an advertiser's perspective too, if they do allow that, I'd love to be able to type everyone, like we're going after foundation repair companies right now. And I wish I could just put an ad in all of their groups, but hopefully that's around the corner, right?
I guarantee those are going to be the most expensive ads you can buy on Facebook. I guarantee it.
I'll pay for it if we get the quality leads, And
that's the point, right? That's the point because it's like you want to sell dog food. Here's every dog lover's Facebook group. Like Purina's about to kill it in dog groups, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's coming. It's not there yet, which still makes it a little bit of a better user environment. But I think Facebook groups and Clubhouse are the two. I mean, YouTube's not new. Like, yes, I have a growing YouTube channel and I put out a lot of good video content, but I wouldn't say that's new and trending. Like YouTube's the number 2 search engine. If you don't have content on YouTube, you're missing out. I don't know.
So it's not even like a new trend. It's like, if you don't have it, that's the problem.
I think that's like where we're like podcast is probably like YouTube like should be there. Podcast is probably the up and coming thing. And then, Clubhouse and Facebook groups are kind of like the newer side of the social media stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Not a lot of people are talking about that. So that's cool to get that perspective. Now, this is shifting back a little bit because I know you come from a sales management position. I know that's your bread and butter. So I just want to know if you could pick like 1 or 2 things when you're training your sales team, and you might have already touched on it when you mentioned, just time management in general. But when it comes to efficiency, what's like those 1 or 2 things that you have to have as a sales manager?
Teaching my guys like what our ideal client looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of new sales reps don't know what they're looking for. So they go run a bunch of bullshit appointments because I push a lot of relationship building, networking, prospecting. I'm not really the ads funnel guy. I'm not the lead guy. I'm going to go hunt and find it. So I'm teaching my guys how to go to a BNI meeting, go to a NARI meeting, go to an HBA meeting, go to a local organization and go network, go meet people. So if I tell them how to do that and don't teach them what we're looking for and how to qualify the opportunity, they end up wasting a lot of time on bad opportunities that like they didn't know what to ask or what to look for. And like, look, that's the biggest waste of time ever is to go spend 2 hours at somebody's house that was never the ideal client, the ideal project. They didn't have the budget. They didn't have the understanding of the value we bring. And so from an efficiency perspective, like getting you successfully quickly, teaching you how to go hunt for it and teaching you what we're actually looking for once you find it. I would say those are 2 of the, teach it. I've never been the lead guy. Like I sold In 5 years, I sold about $12 million in projects personally.
And just off
I
of
never
outbound.
paid for it. I did not one lead. Everything was relationship building, networking, social media,
Wow.
Prospecting, relationship building. That's what I teach as a consultant now. I don't teach leads and funnels. I think most consumers now don't buy that way. I think there's a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and at a certain level, I think it makes sense. But if you're doing less than $1 million right now, no offense, if this hurts you, I'm sorry, but like, don't go buy leads. Go make 5 phone calls.
Okay.
Because like you only need a certain number of relationships, the right relationships, to put you in front of the right people, right? Like one real estate agent could bring you 20 deals a year, depending on what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather spend time doing that. And yeah, you might have to talk to a few more people, but you find the right people because you know what you're looking for, and your business just grows almost on its own.
That's another thing. And I love the advice you're giving, because it's not the typical, like, hey, just, like what I was saying earlier, get a quick Facebook ads account running, something like that to just generate, a lead to have a database to work on. So you say you're very outbound, but I also know, like, you have the podcast, you have the YouTube channel, and from an inbound perspective, like, that's got to bring you a lot of leads though, right? So how do you balance those, or do you consider that as part of like your outbound effort, kind of balancing inbound and outbound?
I consider it as outbound effort because I'm not running ads specifically.
Got it.
Because like, I'm putting out good content. Just like I'm putting out the right message via a phone call, or I'm putting out the right message at a networking event. I'm putting myself with the right message in front of the right people. And at the right time, they'll come into my ecosystem. Okay. So I kind of like the content creation, which is in the industry an inbound marketing tactic. But I'm not running them to a funnel or to a lead source. People just call me because they're like, Mike, you've helped me a lot. Like, I literally had a call today with a dude in Ireland who found me because of my YouTube channel. And like, but I didn't say, hey, call me if you want coaching. It's, here's a lot of really valuable information on the podcast and the YouTube channel. And if you feel like I can bring you value, you automatically call me. So the people who call me, they're not leads, they're buyers.
There you go. Very bottom of funnel
qualified
content.
In, right?
Yeah. I love that.
I didn't click the offer saying I want a free upgrade or a free service, or I saw your coupon. Those are not great clients. Those are deal searchers, right? Yeah. They're tchotchke chasers. What I like. If you ever go to like a home show, those aren't buyers. Those are tchotchke chasers. Right? That's what I call them. Like, they're not there to buy. They're there to get the free shit. Yeah. Those are not the clients I want to work with.
Yeah. How do you, and this might be easier for you to answer. So how does someone from like, I'm going to bring up foundation repair again, because that's just on my mind, but how does someone in that business adopt that model? How do they provide value of like, because, you search for something, digitally or however you pick up a phone, that's a very specific problem. So how do you get in front of those people and make sure that, if from like a construction guy or contractor, whatever you want to call them, how do you make yourself available the way that you do from consulting? Is that something that translates one-to-one?
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
So like, here's the approach I take. I find a target audience that I want to engage with. Mm-hmm. I figure out what are their biggest pain points and problems, and then I try to educate them through entertainment.
Well put.
So like foundation repair, you want mold companies, crawl space companies, inspectors, engineers, real estate agents, property management companies, contractors. Those are the people that are in front of the person with the issue.
Yeah.
And here's why I target those people. It's very intentional. Homeowners don't like spending money on non-elective projects.
Tell me about
a roof, foundation, right?
Yeah.
But the contractor, the real estate agent, the foundation, or the engineer, the crawl space company benefits by you doing your job.
Yeah.
Because they need to fix that before they can do what they need to do.
That's
so
great.
You're getting brought into a situation where the parties actually need you to do your job, as opposed to, I don't want to fix this problem, but I have to, and I want to find the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah.
So I would go
relationship. Sorry. Yeah. But that relationship with, it goes back to you said it already, but like that relationship with like a realtor, for instance, is going to be so much more fruitful than chasing down that one guy with one targeted thing of like, what do I do when I see a crack in my basement or something like that? Like that video is going to do only so much. Whereas like if you target a realtor who can refer you every time, that sounds like a lot more, a bigger faucet, if you will.
But it's a dual approach, right? So
Yeah.
let's use the homeowner as an example. What are some DIY things? What are things they can do on their own? How
Sure.
can they seal it? How can they protect it? How can they secure it? Tell them exactly how to do what you're going to do so they realize how complicated it is, so that Johnny DIY that wants to go to Home Depot and try and figure it out himself with some crack sealer, tell him why that's not a good idea,
Yeah.
what really needs to happen. And then he's like, oh shit, I'm never going to pull that off like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's way complicated. Let me just call the expert. So
Yeah.
I'll give it all away for free. Tell them exactly what to do. So like, you also are going to need these 3 pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
You're going to need this material. You're going to need these people. You're going to need 5. And it's like, oh man, like I thought it was going to be a simple, like squirt in some caulk, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not. And so you tell them everything to do so that when someone says you got to call so-and-so and they go look at your content, like, wow, these people really know what they're talking about.
Love it. Yep.
Right.
How
so
do you teach some of
on,
your, sorry, this Zoom thing, I always talk over you. Sorry, man. But how do you teach your clients? Because in my opinion, a lot of these guys still have some old school mentality where they'll come in, they'll try to do classic upsells, and buyers are smarter nowadays. How do you teach some of these sales guys, the new way of selling, I want to call it, of just like, that honest approach that, you got to know that your client is smart. They can type into Google and find 10 more of your competitors in the touch of a button. So are you finding that a lot of people are adapting to that? Or from my experience, we're finding a lot of people, I want to say stuck in the ways, but in a nicer way than that. That's how I want to phrase it, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, no, I mean that, they're uninterested in change is probably the right way to
tell
say
me about it. Yeah.
So I guess for the most part, like people who reach out to me, they want the changes I can bring.
Sure.
So I don't deal with a lot of people that don't want to change. Like that's one of my qualifying factors as a business coach. If you're stuck in your ways or uninterested in change, you're not a good client for me. Like I'm going to change the way you do business. That's why people hire me. So my approach is focus on those who want to innovate and help them beat the guys who don't.
That's great.
Because that's just like, that's the reality of the industry. Like the generation that we're beating right now is the generation that beat the ones before them because they had power tools, right? Like the generation we're beating right now, we're like, and they can say all they want. We're using social media. They use power tools to beat the generation before them. So don't tell me that you didn't innovate to win. You're just uninterested in doing it again.
Wow.
And so that's what I see.
Well, yeah. So it sounds like firing up beforehand is key there. I got 1 or 2 more questions, then I can let you go. Does that sound all right?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So back to sales process, we talked a little bit about how to make your guys more efficient. I wanted to know, and you kind of already touched on this too, which is great. You're just reading. It's like you read my questions beforehand, but I said this next question was stop wasting time on unqualified leads by following some steps. And I was going to ask for those steps. Can you go a little deeper? I know you already touched on it, but just maybe just a hair more of like, what are those?
The first step is truly understanding the demographic and psychographic of your ideal client.
Yeah.
Like, who are they? Where are they? What do they believe in? What are their priorities? What are they looking for? What are their values? And so that's the first step. Like if you don't know where your client is or what makes them great for you, you can't ask the right questions, right? The day of like, I'm a flooring company and everybody with a floor is a great referral for me is bull. Like that doesn't work anymore, right? So I think a big part of it is understanding what makes your best clients your best clients. That's absolutely step 1. Because if you know what about them, the house size, the location, the job type, the problem set that they have that you can solve the best. If you don't know the answers to that, you physically can't qualify them because you don't even know what you're looking for. So I would say like the steps would be figure out the demographics and psychographics of your ideal client, and then basically figure out what questions will get those answers.
Yeah. Can you give an example of like, are you talking about like the questions you ask a lead to qualify them? Like, can you just give me like 1 or 2 examples of that?
Well, like the biggest one would be like, hey, what's the biggest problem you're hoping to solve by calling me?
Boom. Yeah.
right? Like, because I'm all about problem solving. If there's no problem, there's no sale.
Yeah.
So one of the first questions is, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. Like, what's the biggest thing you're hoping I can solve for you?
Yeah.
Because solving a problem is more valuable than giving a transaction.
Yeah.
So like, hey, I got to sell my house, and we found this. The inspector found this crack in the crawl space, and I don't really know what to do about it. Great. Well, can I ask you a couple of questions to see, like, make sure I'm the right fit for you? Well, how big is the crack? Where is the crack located? Have you considered, do you understand the cost range of what something like this is gonna go for? Not the budget. What's your budget for that? Do you understand what it's going to cost to accomplish the problem or solving the problem that you have? So that's an example of a few questions. But the biggest one is,
right on.
What's the biggest problem you're hoping I can solve for you is by far the best question that I have found that you can ask.
Beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here with just one last question. And it might not relate to you, but maybe you can talk to some of your clients you've had, but we're on site a lot. The people we work with, the people listening, they're on the job is the name of the podcast. So they probably got the truck. They probably got the van. We talked a little bit about software, talked a little bit, barely about hardware, but like, what are the things you always got to have in your truck with you on the site?
Like as a salesperson?
As a sales guy, yeah.
I mean, that really depends on the industry, man. Like, so I own a grading company. Like, I don't need much. Like, there's dirt there, it needs to move. Like, I need to have my boots with me, right? Like, yeah. But as a salesperson, I would say you definitely need to have clean clothes. Like, when I sold roofing, well, I'm gonna get sweaty on this house. I can't show up to the next house dripping sweat, right?
Yeah.
So like, have a change of clothes. Like, have the tools. I always like doing this. Like when I was selling remodel work, like have a little bag of the tools you need, like the measuring tape, the laser, a pencil, like show up prepared to deliver some sort of a client experience. Mm-hmm. So it could be the notes you have, your tablet. I don't want to say a camera, but like a way to collect, like if you don't have a smartphone with a camera at this point, just give up. Like there's nothing else for, like, you're way behind at this point. But I would say, like, as a salesperson, you need to have everything in your vehicle to deliver the best customer experience every single time. You don't want any client to feel like they were an afterthought. Beautiful. They need to be the priority. You need to be prepared to give them the wow experience every single time. So whatever that means to you and your business, like it might mean a change of clothes, it might need samples, tools or note taking or whatever it is for your industry, whatever that might be, whatever you need to deliver every client the same consistent but wow experience is what you need to have with you at all times. So plan ahead. You got a bunch of client meetings coming up. Make sure that you got what you need to accomplish those. Yeah.
And I love the part that you said, just like make them feel like this is intentional. You're here for them and your day was for them. Yeah. I mean, that's such an easy thing that can get overlooked. So yeah, we're really well put.
You're carrying that last project, that sub issue, that client issue, that bill pay issue, that bank account issue, right? All the issues, you cannot carry that into their house, or like you might as well not go. You might as well reschedule it, because if you're not going to give them the best client experience you can, you're not going to win it. Yeah. Because like you said earlier, clients are incredibly more educated. They have incredibly higher expectations, and they're not, in my opinion, they're not educated correctly all the time. Like the HGTVs and the DIYs of the world have made our jobs a lot harder, right?
Sure.
So you got to make sure that you're going in to wow them with the proper expectations and experience, because they're going to be prepared. They're going to be expecting something. It's your job to control what they walk away with.
Man, that was beautifully put. And I really appreciate your time and coming on this podcast for one of our very first episodes. I think,
rock out, man, get it out there.
Yeah, dude, you're pioneering the on the job podcast right now. So we really appreciate your time, bud.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. And with that, that's this episode. And I'll have cuts there, and I'll record something nicely to sum it all up at the end. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Oh, this should be it. Outro.
Perfect. And then now we cut here. Well, Mike, cool, I really appreciate it. Yeah, no, you too. And I'll be sure to be in touch when this launches, so you can keep an eye on it. And
cool.
Yeah, nothing.
Shoot me whatever your cell phone number is. I'll shoot you the invite for Clubhouse.
My man, thank you. and sorry, I don't know if it was awkward. My camera of you is over here, so I wasn't ignoring you. I was looking at you, but you're
it's fine.
screen in my
head.
So, okay.
I get it.
All right. Yeah, that's it. I appreciate it. I'll see you around.
I appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Later.
That's it for On the Job this week. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Mike. I know I did. If you have any questions or would like to reach out, check out Mike's website at winrateconsulting.com. Or you can learn more at arcsiteapp.com/onthejob. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next week.